and welcome to St. Louis.
Thank you. I've been here before. It's gotten better since the last time I was here.
Yeah, it's the weather.
Yeah,
the weather.
Is that what it is?
Yeah,
Thank
we're
you.
treating
Thanks
you
for that
to
save.
good weather.
Well, when was the last time you were here?
It's I guess it's been a couple years, but yeah, I like it here.
It's nice here.
Yeah,
It's got that Midwest feel.
Yeah, I'm from Detroit, so it's a lot like where I grew up. That usually gets a laugh at the stand-up show.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we're always in competition with.
Come
with
here to St.
Louis.
Louis, you'll be safe.
Yeah.
Yes.
From Detroit.
We just made #1 beer city in the.
Congratulations.
Thank you, thank you.
Wow.
We like when we make good lists instead of the.
And that's a good list.
We don't get to be on a lot of good lists here in
Yeah.
St. Louis. It's usually the bad stuff.
What's the best beer? What's the best beer here?
I mean,
Or
of course, we're the home of Anheuser-Busch.
Oh yeah,
You know, that little thing.
yeah.
But there's a lot of, smaller breweries around here.
But that's what I'm saying. Why did you guys win?
Because
a
of our
combination of everything.
smaller breweries.
Slowly. You guys got excited.
We're so excited to make a list.
I'll tell you why we won. Damn it. Hold on. Now, why did you win?
It's a combination
you
of
in
everything.
the corner.
It's a combination of everything. Just the fact that this is the home of Anheuser-Busch, but also all the small breweries that are very successful in the
Right.
area, and the different options that you have. So.
Oh, okay, great.
And you got a drink to live here.
Because just to get by.
I hope you're not a teetotaler because you got to drink up.
I'll have an occasional glass of Chardonnay. I'm from L.A., guys. Come on, beer, please. Unless it's a microbrewed.
We just talked about this yesterday. Franzia, the wine in a box.
Yes,
They're now coming out with these little individual kind of like sippy boxes,
like juice boxes.
like
That's
juice
exactly
boxes
right.
for
They're juice
adults.
boxes.
Finally. You know,
Been
it's like
waiting for this.
those are one of those ideas that you think I should have come up with that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like everything is there to make that idea work. And one person said, "Hey, why don't we just do it instead of talking about it?
Yeah.
Let's put wine in juice boxes like for kids."
I'd have put it in a pouch and called it Capri Fun.
I like
Do they
what's
have?
in there.
Did we say it's got the straw in it?
They do not.
Oh, it doesn't.
It's like it's not. I mean, it's fun to think that it's like a Capri Sun or a juice box.
Yeah.
But it's more like you've seen water in a box, or like protein shake that comes. It's like that.
So you pour it into.
It's got a screw top, and then you pour it into a glass.
Pour it
Or
right down my throat.
you just take it to the house.
Here's my glass right here.
the box.
My glass.
Pour it right in my mouth.
And what is it, 3 glasses of wine?
Yeah, 3 glasses of wine.
Wow, in the juice box?
In a juice box, yeah.
Doesn't seem like 3 glasses of wine, does it? In the juice?
It's
No,
big.
they're
It's
little-
bigger.
Not my
They
glasses.
stuff it in
I
there.
can't wait till they mix them up with the kids. Oh, darn it.
Yeah. You know it's gonna happen, right?
Oh yeah. Some
How
kids
was
gonna go in
school
the
today?
fridge and
I
grab
have
it.
no idea.
Mommy makes me drink the juice box before I go to sleep. That's good parenting. Tim Meadows is here. So the one question we had for you is,
Here
of
we go.
all the movies you've been in,
Yeah.
which have been a gazillion great movies,
Maybe 10, something like that.
10 million, what's the one role that you have that people ask you mostly about?
Ask me most about probably Ladies Man, I think, and then Mean Girls probably
Yeah.
after that, and then Pop Star and Walk Hard. Probably in that order.
But do people come up to you because they feel like they know you because you've been in so many, different beloved movies?
Yeah.
I'm sure people think, yeah, hey, it's my buddy Tim Meadows. You know, I see him all the time.
Yeah, people love me. You're right.
People do love you. Who hates Tim Meadows? Does Tim Meadows have any enemies?
Ex-wife. maybe? That's it. Legally, can you cut that out? By the way, I'm so sorry.
Riz, have you been watching Schooled at all?
That's the spinoff of the Goldbergs.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Thank you.
It's incredible. It really, truly is. And it's Lainey, who is Erica's best friend on the show, the gym teacher,
Brian Callen.
and the counselor turned now principal of the school. It's incredible. It's great. It's got the same feel of the Goldbergs, but it's 90s now, so it's fantastic.
Do you think there's anybody that when Tim Meadows walks into a room, they go, Meadows is here?
No.
That Dan Meadows.
Damn.
I could say something, but like I said, legally, I can't say that.
Hey, with the exception of your ex-wife.
There's one person
It was
who
a bad
does
breakup,
not- yeah. You got a minute? We'll talk about it. No, but it's wonderful. What were we talking? Oh, yeah, it is. It's a spinoff of the Goldbergs. It's a really fun show. It's like lighthearted. It's silly. It's sort of nostalgic.
Yeah.
For the '90s. It's has
It's
like
silly.
It is silly. It has a lot of. It'll take you back to your days in high school, like things that you went through.
It's something I think we need is a lot of silliness.
I agree.
now, which is what you bring a lot of silliness to, in a good way, to a lot of your roles. I mean, we were watching clips yesterday of Walk Hard.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
I mean, as far as most quotable Meadows, if you're talking most quotable Meadows, I think the Walk Hard, those scenes, the drug scenes, we were pulling them up. Both of us were in tears. I mean, we were just losing it.
That's great. Thanks.
Fantastic.
That movie, it's funny. It's become this like cult thing. Like people, it's still. I did an interview about it yesterday before I came here because a guy was doing a story about the fact that there's a lot of biopics coming out now, and when you see them, they remind you now of Walk Hard. You know, like when I saw Bohemian Rhapsody, there was moments where I was like, Dewey Cox is going to come in.
yeah, because that
In a British
when that
accent.
came out, Walk the Line was the big. Everybody was into Johnny Cash.
Yeah.
Everybody was into everybody all of a sudden was a Johnny Cash fan.
Yeah.
When Walk the Line came out.
Yeah, because you could get a CD at Starbucks. All of a sudden, you're a fan. Great.
Well, yeah. Besides A Boy Named Sue, give me and Ring of Fire, give me a
Right,
Johnny
yeah.
Cash song. I'm been for years.
I got the shirt and everything.
Yeah,
It's got me
Right
at
here.
Target.
Look at this. He's flipping off the camera. That's my boy.
Johnny Cash, and then Walk Hard was just destroyed it.
Yeah, yeah. It was a fun movie to make. It was those. I had a great time. I learned how to play drums for that movie because I play a drummer. For you people out there who haven't seen the movie, did you see the movie?
Oh, yeah, of
Okay,
course.
good.
He
Oh,
quotes
Quiet.
I lived the movie, in fact.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
You're a musician?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So
He's not very good. But he's fantastic. I apologize.
I'm going to step out
You
of
don't
here.
have to quantify it. Yeah.
To me, you all look like
He punches
musicians. Everybody in this room looks like a musician. You look like a magician.
Yeah.
Everyone else, musicians.
I've been learning to shred on the guitar.
Yeah.
I take shredding lessons once a week.
Do you play an instrument? Or you?
I'm trying to play guitar.
Oh, good.
I got blisters on my fingers.
Oh, that's a start.
From guitar or from something else?
No, that's my palm.
Oh, okay. You don't want to get those mixed up. Musician or not?
No,
Really?
I am not.
You could.
I'm a DJ though.
Oh,
I mean,
well, you are a musician.
so I mean,
somewhat.
if you want to, I take other people's work and I make it.
You can mix and scratch two different songs.
Sure, yeah.
So
He
you're
has one
creating.
band, too.
If
Yes.
we were a band in here, what instruments would we play? What do you think? What would be the
You want me to
what would be our
name them?
positions? Yeah. Just
Bass,
looking at
bass
it.
guitar.
I'm the bass guy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't be disappointed.
Yeah. Trumpet.
He pointed to Patrico and said,
band are we in that I got
We'll just say brass,
Nailed
because
it.
I could see him playing a tuba, too.
Nailed
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, brass expert. Let's just say that.
You're just the brass section.
Yeah.
The entire
Man,
section.
that dude
Lead
gets no
singer.
play.
Lead singer.
Lead singer.
Yeah. He doesn't play instrument either.
That is true.
He has out scarves and picks he throws out at the audience.
Do I get the
Groupie,
drug problem
He's
too, then?
Groupie.
You do. You get the drug problem too.
Moon is a
I'm,
groupie.
no. I'm the manager.
I was gonna say multi-instrument guy. You play a bunch of different stuff. You know how guys will change up instruments
Yeah.
during the concert,
Which is funny.
He's got like
yeah.
a keyboard,
So
and then
far,
all of a sudden
that's
he's
the
got
only
like
one
an
you're right
Indian
on.
drum.
He's good at
Yes.
this.
What the hell is this?
and he's singing at the same time. You go,
Yeah.
why is this guy in his own? He should be in his own band.
Yeah.
He shouldn't be with Earth, Wind, and Fire.
He's the guy in the corner with like the bass drum behind the one-man band.
Yeah.
Damn, you nailed
He's
it.
got the washboard on the on your chest.
Now
That's the only one I have never been paid to play.
Now we're playing in Branson. Awesome.
No, how involved are you with the Beastie Boys? Because you did something with the Beastie Boys. What was it, last week?
Yes. Yes, it was last week. Oh, I did it. Oh, I did this thing because I did the audiobook for the Beastie Boys story, and they're doing like a show on stage where they talk about.
They tell stories.
They tell stories. They talk about how they got together and everything, and they talk a lot about Adam Yauch. And so they asked me to do. I read this story about them, Mike D meeting Bob Dylan at a party back in the day. And they dressed up in costumes that they had found at a party or their house, this house they were renting, that were like 70s sort of like pimp clothes almost. And then they all said they were going to wear it to the party, which was Dolly Parton's birthday party. They had been invited to, and then they said,
Let's get
and then
back
they
to
all,
that.
and then they changed their minds, except they forgot to tell Mike D. So everybody else showed up dressed normally, and Mike D was dressed in like a fur lime green like suit and a white fur hat. And then he walked up to Bob Dylan dressed like that, and so that's the story I told. And then they asked me to tell the story on stage. And so I acted that story out. We did that in Philly. And it was fun. I love those guys.
That's pretty
I love
awesome.
them. Yeah.
Well, how'd you meet those guys? Was it an SNL thing? You know, or just being in New York?
An S&M thing.
I think
SNL, S&M.
Whatever.
I think it was.
We go to the same dungeon.
I'm gonna move on from that. No, I think originally I met them in New York. I think it was they had done the show. I think that was how we originally met. But then I was invited to a couple of like shows that they were doing. They were doing makeup shows, and that was when I actually talked to them and stuff like that. And then I would, occasionally see them, whatever, like in. And Mike D and I would see each other at this gym that we work out in California. That was how this all came about. Because I hadn't seen him in like 10 years.
Yeah,
are we still in the air?
We are still on the air.
Oh, no,
yeah.
this is
We are.
fascinating.
Okay, I don't know. It's so quiet.
Should we, fine, we'll start talking about your movies then.
Sure. I heard you were nice.
I could talk about the Beastie Boys all day.
I
love the Beastie Boys.
Yeah, they're fantastic.
But
I know they've been doing the stage show thing where it's just, the two surviving members telling stories.
Yeah, and Spike Jonze is filming it. They're making like a little documentary film thing out of it. So
That's fascinating.
Yeah,
that's
wait
cool.
to-
yeah, it's cool. I feel lucky because, like I said, they were very influential for me. I listen to them all the time, and not only listen to them, but like they just like the thing. I dug the way they presented themselves. They weren't afraid to say they were punks and that they were rappers
They were cool,
and they
man.
were musicians,
And everybody loved them.
Yeah.
White, black, Asian, don't matter.
Yeah.
Jumping back for a second when you were talking about preparing for Walk Hard, that's something that's always fascinated me, and I've been a professional musician for a long time. So when I see movies like That Thing You Do or Walk Hard, where there's music performed, of course I'm always watching, going, that guy's like, and all these movies that are coming out with the Motley Crue stuff,
Right.
like, that guy actually learned. I wonder if he knew drums before, and I think I heard somebody on whatever it is that thing you do talking about having to learn an instrument really quickly. How long does it take you to learn something like that? And do you really dig into it because you want to be accurate or because you're asked to be accurate?
Yeah, I wanted to be accurate. I thought in Walk Hard, I was like, I think this drummer should be like a really great drummer because he was playing in his club, and yet he was good enough to stay with Dewey Cox his whole career. And they told me he was the one character that would be in Dewey's life for the whole thing.
Right.
And so I thought, this guy should be really good. And so I didn't take lessons, but they had a coordinator on the show who taught me, and I could do just like basic drumming stuff just from being a kid, you know what I mean? But then to actually have to learn songs was different.
Right.
And so there was a guy who taught me, and then I would go and practice on an electric drum kit. Because they don't want you to, it's too loud. And,
Sure.
drums suck because they're so loud. So I would get on the electric drum kit and put on headphones and then practice the songs. And so what I would learn how to do is play, the hi-hat, the fills, cymbals, and try to still be able to keep the snare drum going. But I never had to learn bass drum. So I could play drums from the waist up.
Yeah, that stuff is fascinating to me. Guitar players, when you have to do guitar stuff, I feel like that's the that's the curse.
Yeah,
really,
because that's hard. I mean, if you don't know how to play guitar,
sure,
it's difficult to fake it.
Yeah, it's impossible to fake it.
Yeah.
The guy in the Motley Crue thing blew it. But when you watch those kind of things too, and that movie I've seen so many times that of course I've obsessed over it, and I've actually noticed that's a lot of songs. It wasn't 2 songs you had to learn.
See, it'd be great if for that movie you were a method actor, so you had to do everything you did in the movie in real life, just to get into the role. So all the drugs,
all the women, all the sex.
Do people come up to you and ask you to do impressions all the time, and is that annoying?
They don't ask me to do impressions. No,
they don't. Like, hey man, do the line from.
Well, I mean, I get that, but not any. I think my demeanor off. In real life doesn't suggest that I want you to come up to me and ask me to do a line.
Because you wear that shirt that says "Don't come up to me and ask me" thing.
Yeah, no, I think I'm a nice person, but I don't think I'm like the kind of guy who puts off the vibe that I want you to ask me to do a line. You know what I mean?
Well, it's because you always put a pistol down on the table in front of you. Closed.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, though. There's guys that sort of like not present some of the characters that they're close to. But, I'm sure if somebody's passing Jim Carrey or something, Jim Carrey's kind of a wacky dude, so I'm sure they're going to ask him to do some of his wacky lines. So.
Yeah, I mean, people will say, yeah, people will say things. They will tell me the things that they love, which is nice. You know, so they'll say the line to me, but hardly. And there's been a few times where somebody has said, like, "Can you do a voicemail for me as the ladies' man?" And I'll be,
come on, man.
like, I'm literally, you know, I gotta wash my hands and go catch my flight. You know,
Sir, I'm tinkling. Has anybody crossed the line, like really crossed the line with you?
Yeah, I mean,
It's gotta be a couple.
There was a guy, I almost punched him, and I told him I'm going to punch you, but it was in New York, and it was late, like 3 in the morning, and I was going to my hotel, and this guy saw me, and he was just like, "Well, I'm a big fan. God, I can't believe it's me and you. Like, we're here on the street," you know. And he hugged me, and I was like, "All right, buddy, you know, nice meeting you. I'm going right in here," and then he kept grabbing me, like. Holding my arm, yeah, like while I go, okay, let me go, don't do that, you know. And then he tried to touch me again, and I go, if you come another step, I'm gonna punch you right in your face. I promise you, you're gonna get hit in the face by Tim Meadows. I'm serious, it's gonna be your night.
Did he say, do it?
Tim Meadows is about to punch you in the nose, and no one will ever believe you. So,
Like, please punch me.
Yeah. But I said it was weird, and he started just getting upset that I got an attitude. He was like, "I can't believe you're like acting this way," and I said, "It's 3 in the morning. I'm on the street in New York, and I don't know you. I don't want you touching me."
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So that was the.
Well, some people think they're owed it.
Yeah. I don't know.
It's 3 in the morning.
I think he was a little wasted and just a little bit too much, you know.
You'll never guess who punched me in the face.
The ladies' man.
Were you wasted last night?
Dude, I think Tim Meadows punched me in the face last night.
And, I mean, hard.
Where'd you get the black
Steve's
eye?
drinking again. He thinks Tim Meadows punched him.
So 10 years on Saturday Night Live, and then once you're done with your run, you get out of New York? I mean, is that, or do you stay in New York? Or you?
No, I would have stayed in New York. I was married at the time, so we wanted to leave. We didn't want to be in New York with a baby, and that's what was
It's
going
tough.
on. Yeah.
I lived in New York City, and it's tough to have a kid in the city.
Yeah.
It's a different way of living. So, you know, most people move out to the suburbs.
Right.
Yeah, because in New York, like sometimes, you know, hawks will fly down and snatch your baby and fly away with them.
I saw
not
a
safe.
flock of pigeons once take a kid right out of the stroller.
I saw rats take a bunch of babies one time. A bunch of rats took a bunch of babies.
It happens.
These are New York stories, people.
So you moved out to L.A. and then, you know, you do the movie thing. I mean, 10 years on SNL is it's a big run.
Yeah.
What's the difference between the cast from the 90s and how they deal with things and the cast now? You think there's a big difference?
I don't know. I mean, I've done some interviews where people ask, and where people have asked me that, and my opinion, I love the show. I think the cast on the show is great. And I said, and I will say again, that I think now, which is good for the show, I think people come to the show better prepared. So, like, if you're a comedian or an actor or a writer, and you go to SNL now and you're in your, like, mid-20s, you've already made videos and put them online.
And you also know the show.
You know the show. You know what's needed. You know you're not needed, but you know how the show works. You know what I'm saying? And I made the observation that I think Kenan, what's his name?
Kenan Thompson.
Kenan Thompson is amazing. He's one of my favorite performers ever. And I think one of the reasons that he's so good is because he's been doing it for so long. He had a show when he was in his he was a teenager.
Yeah, what?
That
Good
was
Burger?
all that.
all that.
Yeah.
Which was like SNL, where they did sketches and they did characters and stuff like that. And I think if anybody was built for SNL, it was him. I think he's amazing. And it's because he's been doing it so long, and he's talented and funny and nice and everything else. But when I came on, only thing I had done personally was Second City in Chicago.
Yeah, but that's improv stuff. So you're
Yeah, but I'd never. When I got there, I didn't even know what a television script looked like. You know what I mean? I had no idea because I'd never worked on in television before. I was just an improv actor, and so the first time I saw a script for the show, I went to the file and grabbed old sketches that I had seen on television and looked at how they were written. And then I was like, oh, okay, so when that happens on the screen, that's what this is.
Yeah.
The dialogue is smaller, the stage directions, and these are the tricks on the things on television, lower thirds or Chiron crawls or whatever. So I had to sort of teach myself that because nobody on the show, they don't have
teach you that.
classes to break you in about the
Trial
show.
by fire. They throw you right in.
Throw you right in.
Well, what guests have come onto the show and you go, man, this person's going to get eaten alive because they are 100% unprepared?
I don't think there's been anybody that like that where I thought they were unprepared. There were people that
We're douchebags?
well, I mean, yeah, I mean, there's you're gonna find your share of douchebags. Look in this room, right?
Yeah,
One of
there's
us.
at least three. in here.
At least three.
There's
I
at least
think-
three douchebags.
I think the odds are like 1 out of 7. Looking around the room, counting.
Yeah, there are at least three douchebags in this room, and they know who they are.
Yeah.
You guys do.
No, notoriously, they say the worst guest in the history of SNL was Steven Seagal.
I'm sure that's probably not true now because the show's been on for so much longer. I think
even still lists now say that he is.
yeah. I don't know. I think
Were you there for that?
I was there for that, but I think now the cast are. Well, I don't know. People they weren't that crazy about Trump when he was on the show.
Huh.
I heard negative things about him, but I don't. I don't know. I haven't heard. I'm sure there's been hosts that were as bad as Seagal.
Like after that Steven Seagal show, was it one of those? Boy, man, glad we got through this. I heard he treated people bad. He was just not a nice person.
Well, the farther away from it I am, the less I remember. I try to forget that week.
I just found a list that was put out in late 2018, and Seagal is number 2. Number 1 is a former cast member who is known for being difficult to work with.
Oh, Chevy Chase.
Oh, really? And what year was that?
It says various dates.
That was a total guess. I'd say.
When you say a
No,
name, the guy starts laughing.
Oh, yeah, well, he's talked crap about the show.
I totally didn't know that it was.
No, it was a total
The,
guess.
the article here says specifically during a rehearsal on February 15th of 1997, he slapped Sherry O'Terry in the back of the head as a joke.
Were you there?
I think yes, I was there.
I think
I was there.
That's in your,
I don't remember her getting slapped in the back of the head by Chevy Chase.
And apparently Will Ferrell threatened to kick his ass right then and there.
Really?
That's what it says.
that. I
Yeah, I believe that.
He's a big dude, too.
Both
Will
of
Ferrell.
them. Yeah, both of them are big. I mean, Chevy's tall too.
It says here, as far as number 2 is Steven Seagal, at one time Nicolas Cage was asked if he deems himself the worst host of all time on Saturday Night Live, and he goes, absolutely, I did terrible. And Lorne Michaels said, nah, you did okay. Steven Seagal was much worse.
So who's number 3?
Number 3 is Milton Berle back in 1979. 4 is Paris Hilton.
Okay.
5, Lindsay Lohan. 6,
Wow.
Katy Perry. 7, Justin Bieber. 8, Deion Sanders.
Wow. Yes,
9
I was there for Deion Sanders.
9
bad?
is
I don't remember him on
Giuliani.
Yeah.
10 is Tom Green. They say, quote, what a disaster.
Man.
11 is Lance Armstrong.
The only
and
thing about Tom Green is that may have been intentional. I mean, that may have been
Yeah.
his
number,
Memo.
number 11 is Lance Armstrong. They say athletes just should stick to being athletes sometimes. 12
like
is
Peyton Manning has
Peyton
done.
Manning.
it says in the same thing right here. It says Peyton Manning, The Rock. These are rare exceptions. Case in point, Lance Armstrong. Stick to riding a bike and lying. Number 12, Adrian Brody, and number 13 was Donald Trump.
Yeah. I had. Wow. If this was Family Feud, I'd had one right. Donald Trump.
Was there anybody that
Chevy
surprised you? That you, man, this is going to suck, but wow, man, actually, they're funny.
it just really impressed you.
Boy, I'd have to think. Yeah, there were people that. There was this actress on Melrose 2 or 90210. She
I like
had
how you
red
combine
hair.
that because that's almost the same thing.
Yeah.
It is.
Melrose 210.
Yeah,
But she had
place.
red, like Lori something, and she wasn't. At the time she played like the bad girl. She was a guest, and then she became a regular person on that show. And I remember thinking when I met her at the beginning, oh, this is going to be boring because she's not really that exciting or versatile. And she turned out to be really funny. And
And she was a host.
she was a host.
It was
Yeah.
probably Tori Spelling.
No.
So I'll go that way. Hillary Swank is a bigger name that might have hosted SNL.
She was on 902 now?
Yeah, Tiffany near the end.
Tiffany Amber
Wow.
Thiessen.
See, that was one of those shows that I was not allowed to watch
What about her?
because of my
Or her.
conservative
But
parents.
she would have never hosted.
No,
right?
maybe it's Melrose. I think it's Melrose Place.
Was that the Heather Locklear one?
Yeah.
Are we on the air? Seriously?
We're just hanging.
Because we're like looking at computers.
No,
and
I know.
stuff.
Oh, yeah.
That's the show.
It's riveting.
kick it.
We just be us. We just talk.
Tim Meadows is at the Funny Bone Comedy Club. He's got 2 shows today, 7:30 and 9:30, and 2 shows tomorrow, 7 and 9:30. Now, as far as your stand-up goes, are we telling stories, or what are we doing, Tim? You're still looking at
We're still looking at pictures.
Yeah, we're still looking at.
Sorry, we went to MrSkin.com. Sorry.
So, yeah,
You would.
I don't see her, and I feel nervous looking at it. But yeah, she had red hair. That's all I remember.
Don't check his history.
Laura Layton.
Yes, that's who it is, Laura Layton.
Look at you.
I had the cast pulled up, and she's got red hair.
And then you know who really surprised me was Garth Brooks.
Dude, he's
That's
awesome.
his-
That's my
he-
dude.
He got to
boy.
sing
That's
with
my
him the
hero.
other day.
Oh, really?
He was in
Yeah.
St. Louis.
The dude, he said when he came in, because he was doing that alter ego
Chris
album.
Gaines at the
Yeah.
time?
Chris Gaines.
Yeah, we don't
And
talk
it-
about that.
Yeah, okay. But when he came in, during the pitch meeting where we all sit around and throw out ideas, he at the end of it, he goes, "Listen, I'm just here to have fun. I'll do anything you guys want to do. I don't care." And so Tina Fey wrote a sketch where it was a French prostitute game show. And Garth Brooks, and he was a French prostitute, and I was too. And like it was like I forgot exactly the theme of the show or whatever it was, but it was really funny. But Garth, when we were rehearsing it, we were all walking out because we are dressed in our costumes,
As French whores.
Yes, and then. As he walked out, and I was walking with Tina, and she goes, "Well, he said he'd do anything."
Yeah.
She was like, he's gonna be a French prostitute in this sketch."
Can you remember any host going, no, I'm not going to do that?
Yeah, I'm sure there was. I mean, I don't remember right now if somebody's. I mean, there's always been times where people are like, "No, like."
It's not good for my image.
Yeah, like Michael Keaton didn't want to do any Batman stuff when he hosted, which was fine. He was a little bit removed from it. But it was something that we were all sort of like, oh, yeah, that's something we could write about.
Yeah.
And I don't blame him. It was sort of like, if you want to move from it, go ahead.
Or him dressing up as Beetlejuice? Why not? That stuff made him famous.
Yeah, but it's also like, somebody like him, he's funny on his own. You can write new stuff for him. He doesn't have to be, do iconic scenes from his movies in order to be funny.
Most underrated Michael Keaton movie is Gung Ho. Anybody ever seen that?
No.
Where he's a
John Candy? Is John Candy in it?
he runs like a car plant, a car manufacturing plant, and the Japanese come and take over.
Right.
Terrific movie.
Yeah, never heard of that.
Anyway, yeah, we're still on the air. Tim Meadows, by the way, is at Funny Bone.
Hi-oh.
I'm tired.
2 shows tonight, 2
From us?
shows tomorrow.
Oh, no.
And so as far as your stand-up
Is that a
goes, I know you got
compliment?
to go do, more important stuff like TV.
That's why I'm dressed up, as you can see.
I think
You look great. I thought you were here for a sales position, honestly. When you
I do look like it. Thank you.
as far
Open
as
the
your
door
stand-up
and
goes,
Yes.
I mean,
Punch
we're
in the
telling
face.
stories. What should the ticket purchaser expect?
Yeah, I mean, I do jokes. I tell stories. I talk about myself. I talk about what's going on in the world in general. Mm-hmm. I do some bits.
You do look like a principal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's a
I'm
sweater.
burping. Everybody.
I thought
That's
you were
why they're
just sitting
laughing.
up straight, but you were burping.
No,
That's
You're on the
I have
right show.
irritable bowel syndrome.
that's
so-
Tim Meadows, everybody.
There you go.
No podcast to plug or anything?
No, I don't believe in podcasts.
Oh, he's
Only
the
person
first
without
guy
a
of the
podcast.
year that doesn't have his own damn podcast.
Hey, wait, let me plug my podcast real quick.
Yeah.
Always. Anything else? Yeah, I got a podcast
Yeah.
going on.
Yeah, I don't have one.
Tim's podcast.
We're about to chart on the iTunes chart.
Yeah,
so,
that's awesome.
I do like to tape conversations on my phone and call that an iPod.
Oh, that's
I call that a podcast.
well, thank you for coming in. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Tim Meadows, everybody. Let me do a quick commercial here, and then if you could stick around, we'll get some pictures and stuff.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Just so I could prove to my friends that I talked to Tim
You
Meadows.
see, people, this is why I hate doing radio.